Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome. Thank you for braving the weather. It says a lot about your enthusiasm that you took the time to come out this evening, and I'm personally very grateful. My wife Kate sends her regrets. She is home with the children this evening. We decided with the weather they were going to come this evening, but we decided with the weather that we would leave them home, and so Kate's home with them this evening, but she sends you her greetings. I do want to introduce the campaign team will get very nervous right now going off the speech. But I do want to introduce somebody who I have not seen in 10 years. Tonight, Michael Menard, if you could wave your arm. The last time I saw Michael, and he reminded me he was a specialist at the time, was in Central Iraq. He served 3 tours, and on his third tour lost both legs. And I'm just thrilled that you would take the time to be with us here this evening. It means a lot to me personally, and you don't look a day older. Tonight, my family and I begin a new path in our lives. It's a path that's not unfamiliar for me, as I've committed much of my life to public service, but one that will be challenging nonetheless. It is, however, a path that I believe I'm uniquely qualified to walk, and with your support, I will. Thank you for joining me tonight as I formally announce my candidacy for State Senator in the 36th Senatorial District. I obviously would not be here this evening if Senator Brubaker had chosen to run again. He has provided our community with his very best, and he has shown what service and dedication to the people of Lancaster County truly mean. I thank him for his example and his service. Kate and I wish he and Cindy and their family well in the future. Now that Senator Brubaker has chosen to retire, and since I made my intentions clear a number of weeks ago, people have been asking me the same thing. Why would you want to do this? Why are you running? They say you have a safe job. Now, I've never viewed it that way, and anytime you appear on the ballot every 2 years, you never really view it that way. But they say you have a safe job and a young family. They say wait for the next time or wait your turn. Let me answer that directly. To start with, when your first job was as an Army officer, including combat in Iraq as an infantryman, you don't really worry about having a quote-unquote safe job ever again. Second, when I ran for state representative, I did so for a simple reason: to make a positive difference for the people of Lancaster County and the people of Pennsylvania. Third, results or lack of results from elected officials really do matter for our families, our neighbors, communities, and perhaps most importantly, our children. I never ran for office just to be in office. I never viewed politics as a lifelong career where you wait to move up that next rung of the political ladder. I still don't. Remember my background. I attended the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, where duty, honor, commitment, and leadership are as important as academics. I served in our country's military, leading others into combat and putting their future and their safety ahead of my own. I worked in the private sector, where I led others and worked to create good-paying jobs for others. I was elected by my neighbors to serve on my local borough council, and there I fought higher property taxes. The people of Lancaster County then trusted me as their clerk of courts, and I worked to change that office to make it more efficient and effective for our taxpayers. 6 years ago, I joined with Brian Cutler, when he took on the entrenched interest in Harrisburg to lead an effort for a new way in state government. I later joined his fight in Harrisburg as a representative myself to keep that effort moving forward. And in Harrisburg, I have not simply sat back and just been another vote, nor have I gone along to get along. Instead, I've led on important issues, stood up to special interest, authored and sponsored new laws that are making Pennsylvania stronger, and led by personal example on reform. Now I'm running for the state Senate for one simple reason. It is a platform from which I can be even more effective in my fight to provide leadership that gets results. The Senate is a bully pulpit that must be used to lead on our conservative principles. It is a platform which must be used to lead the fight for the things you and I know will help the people of Lancaster County and Pennsylvania. And that is exactly what I will do. I did not make this decision to run lightly. If I did not have the full support of my family, I would not have run. If I did not have the support of so many people in our community, people like you, I would not have run. Thankfully, I do have the support of my family. I do have the support of people all across our community. And I'm sure I can do more for the people of Lancaster County and to advance our conservative ideals in the Senate than I can in the House. We live in a time that requires leaders who are willing to take on political controversial issues and are willing to sacrifice their own aspirations to do so. I believe my record in the House proves I provided leadership that gets results on tough issues, and one that supports our conservative values. I stood up to the teachers union, perhaps Pennsylvania's most powerful special interest, to pass a new teacher effectiveness law that completely revamps how educators are evaluated in our state. However, my fight against the powerful teachers union has not ended with that one victory. Rather, it has only begun as I now continue to work for fiscal transparency, tenure reform, furlough reform, merit-based pay reforms, and expanded high-quality online course choice for Pennsylvania students. In my very first year in office, we enacted a difficult yet necessary reforms which put Pennsylvania back on strong financial footing and closed a $4 billion budget deficit, left by Governor Rendell and his allies. In doing so, we made decisions that weren't popular, but were absolutely necessary. The special interests who think bigger government is better government weren't happy, but you cannot be a leader if you worry about the political repercussions of doing what's right. I've stood up to the liberal special interests who believe life is a choice. When others were running from those special interests during the fight over requiring ultrasounds before an abortion, I stood strong, authoring an amendment that would have strengthened that bill rather than abandoning it. The liberal special interests used this issue against me in my last campaign. But again, you cannot be a leader if you worry about the political repercussions of doing what's right. I've supported common sense conservative initiatives that we all know will be better for taxpayers and for the future of our state. I've sponsored legislation, now law, that improves the regulatory environment for Pennsylvania businesses. I supported ending taxpayer-paid cars for legislators, and I kept my pledge to refuse taxpayer-paid per diems or mileage reimbursements for just showing up to work in Harrisburg. I voted to and continue to advocate for privatization of the liquor system because government should not be doing what the private sector can do better. I'm a strong supporter of pension reform, reforms that will help taxpayers at the state, local, and school district level, and especially one that switches legislators to a 401k type system first, like the plans their constituents have. As amazing as it will sound to you, each of these initiatives has opponents. Be they big spending liberals, big labor union bosses, or even legislators who want to protect what they have instead of protecting you, the taxpayer. Again, you cannot be a leader if you worry about the political repercussions of doing what's right, and I haven't. The Harrisburg insiders have advised me to hold on to this safe House seat for 10 years to ensure that I earn the taxpayer-paid benefits for life. This is how Harrisburg insiders think. It's not what I think, because it's not leadership. Playing it safe is not going to get done what needs to be done. And I refuse to get along, to go along, to get along, to play it safe. There is simply too much at stake. Instead, in this campaign, I'll put forth ideas to address the challenges we face. We'll discuss the crisis of economic mobility. Today, our young people inherit a country that is 1/3 less upwardly mobile than during the presidency of Ronald Reagan. 30% of our high school graduates cannot pass a military entrance examination. Notice I said high school graduates, not high school attendees. This strikes at the core of the American dream and what we hope to accomplish as parents, to pass on more hope, more opportunity to our children than what we have had. This is simply no longer the case. And in my view, this is the crisis of our time. We're not just going to talk about problems, we're going to seek solutions. Strong families, strong communities, the free enterprise system, an education system that's the envy of the world, are worthy policy objectives and will help restore our children's right to rise. Some will agree with the ideas I present. Some will not. I suspect some of my supporters will agree with some of the ideas I present. Some in this room will agree with the ideas I present, and some will not. But what I will not do is play it safe in the hopes of moving up the political ladder. My record will match my words, and the ideas and the kinds of solutions I propose will demonstrate the kind of strong, effective leadership I will bring to the Senate and to the 36th Senatorial District. 10 years ago, I was serving as a captain in the United States Army with the 1st Battalion, 8th Infantry Regiment. 4 days into combat operations, my company commander was wounded, and at 26 years of age, I was elevated to command an infantry company of 150 soldiers, a life-altering experience. During my time in Balad, I had the opportunity to visit with numerous local Iraqi organizations, nonprofits, and one such group was called the Association of Free Prisoners. And I met with the director of this group, and he explained to me that they existed to care for the widows and children, the families of those that were brutally terrorized during Saddam Hussein's years in power. And at the conclusion of our meeting, the director asked if I'd like to see their room of martyrs. And I really wasn't certain what he meant, but I said, certainly. And he walked me into a room, and it was similar to the size of this room. And it was just covered. If you can imagine this room just being covered with framed pictures. As we walked in the room, he explained to me, he said, these are the 359 martyrs who were killed by Saddam Hussein between 1982 and 1984 in Balad, Iraq. And he walked me up to a picture. He walked me up to a picture of a 72-year-old woman. And he pointed to the woman, and he said, what threat was this woman to Saddam Hussein? And then he walked me over to the picture of an 11-year-old child. And he pointed to the picture of the 11-year-old child. And he said, what threat was this child to Saddam Hussein? And then he showed me his 3 brothers. And then he explained to me that in many cases, family members and neighbors were expected to carry out the executions to display their loyalty to the regime. And in a moment I'll never forget, he put his arms on my shoulders and he looked me straight in the eye and he said, when you go back home, I want you to thank your people for coming here and saving us and to give our children hope. To give our children hope and opportunity. Wherever I've traveled, be it in the United States or Iraq or Central Africa, this same hope, this same desire for our children and their future is expressed. In this country, our founding fathers, like those Iraqis in Balad back in 1983, pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for a brighter tomorrow for future generations. We here today benefit from their sacrifice and the sacrifice of those who followed after them. These are consequential times. These are consequential issues we confront. You have my commitment that I will not tire of the fight for you, the fight for our children, and future generations yet unborn. I ask you to join with me in this effort. Thank you, and God bless you.